For the people who have an ego, you can rest assured they have a real identity. The entity is pretty big. It's much bigger than the people who practice chant. All right? So it's perfectly normal. This is what we call ordinary people. They live their ordinary lives. This is how the average person live. This is according to the rules and the norms of society. And there's a small group of people who are superior. Why they're superior among that group of people was the Prince Sidhartha. He was a prince, born as an ordinary person. And he grew up in privilege, in luxury, and he says, this is not enough for me. I have all these pleasures here, I have all the privileges of the world, but I'm unhappy. More specifically in Buddhism, I have suffering, okay, that I cannot resolve. So you cannot resolve your suffering, your unhappiness with more money, with more material things. So the prince set out to find a way to end it, you see. So he started as an ordinary person like all of us. This is what happens to all of us in this world. We're born and we're raised in our environment. We're conditioned to inflate our ego. That's what happened to the Prince Siddhartha. As he became a teenager, his ego got bigger and bigger and bigger. But in the back of his mind, he says, deep down in my heart, I'm still not happy, no matter what. I try to be happy. I got everything in the world I ever want, okay? A loving wife, powerful father, but I'm still not happy. I'm still suffering. And therefore, he set out to find a way to put an end to suffering. And he discovered that the nature, the source of our unhappiness is something called ego, that the ordinary person feeds on, inflates it. So Prince Siddhartha eventually managed to find a way to kill that ego. And that's when he discovered true happiness. And then after that, he set out to share that knowledge, that secret, with those of us who want to discover true happiness. So that's why the first phase of discovering happiness is to recognize, look at why you're unhappy. Whatever makes you unhappy, especially not everything, because life has a lot of good things, but the things that really bother you, the things really make you unhappy, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much fame you have, how much pleasure you have, they're still unhappy about something. Yeah? Very, very unhappy. Could be alcohol addiction, could be drug addiction, could be all sorts of addictions. Okay? Maybe it could be not getting what you want. Could be that you may be living beautiful, beautiful neighborhood of the city and very expensive, but you hate your neighbor. He will not go away. Okay, he keeps on whining and complaining about you, threaten to sue you, okay, and so forth. We all have something that really riles us up. Think about it. And that's what Prince Siddhartha discovered. He says, it doesn't matter. I have all these privileges, I have all the advantages, but I'm still unhappy. That's a common sickness to all of us. Okay? Look at it yourself. We each have things that we are very unhappy about. Okay? And if you look more closely, what really bothers you could be poverty, could be whatever, okay? Could be too much wealth, could be too much, etc., 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 not enough, etc., etc. The bottom line of that source of unhappiness is the ego. There's an I there. He says, I am unhappy. I may be rich, I may be famous, I may be powerful, but I am unhappy. I'm depressed. And you see that, you ask yourself, who's unhappy? Who's depressed? In Buddhism, we point it back to you as there's something called your ego. It basically consists of 5 different aspects of your attachments. It's the first time the ego is explained that way. This is what makes your ego unhappy. Number 1, it's attached to the body. It says, I need some nip and tucks. I need to color my hair. I need to stretch my skin. Yeah? Okay? It's attached to form. So if it's not the way that we want to be, okay, we will not be happy. Take myself, for example. My entire life, I wish I were taller. Doesn't matter who I am, how famous I become, how rich I become, which would never be the case. I will never be any taller. So for my entire life, I'd be unhappy about my height. So things that we can do nothing about, and we're unhappy. And one of the things that I'm attached to form. Got that? That's my ego. That's why I'm unhappy. Another type of attachment that's very overwhelming is attachment to feelings. I'm always seeking for pleasant feelings, unlike some of you who are seeking for unpleasant feelings like torture and, some of you, I can see it here, that you prefer to be mistreated. I want good feelings. I'm looking for pleasant feelings, okay? And if I don't have enough pleasant feelings, it may be in the form of a drink, and you enjoy a glass of wine, and then pretty soon you say, maybe 2 would be better, and maybe 3. Okay, after 3 glasses of wine, you say, it's the same. Let's get something more expensive from Lithuania, okay? And then say, maybe that's not enough. Let's go get something from Bordeaux and so forth, okay? You are never happy. You become numb, and that's why you want more pleasure, more pleasure, more pleasure. You see that? That's the nature of the ego. Can you see it in yourself? Number 3, third aspect is very important, is that you like to think. You're addicted to thinking. You think it's you. You believe it's you. You keep on thinking and thinking. Let me think about it. You keep on thinking and thinking and thinking. At IBM, you have a small plaque there on the desk. Very proud. It says, think. They are rewarded by thinking better, by thinking well. Okay? And so this addiction of thinking is what's bad about thinking. It drains you. It's like you're driving your car, your regular car, gasoline car, with a hole in your gas tank. It's leaking like hell. Whether you stop the car or not, it's still leaking. The leaking is the nature of the thinking. The more you think, the more you burn calories, the more you wear yourself down, the faster you age. That's your ego right there. It likes to think. That's why it's unhappy. Number 4, the 4th expression of the ego is something we call formation. Formation meaning the autonomous systems in our body, our breathing, okay, our heart pumping. Those are the autonomous systems. That's the ego manifesting. In what way it manifests? In the form of it's afraid to die. Your fear of death, folks, not your ego. Who's not afraid to die? I'm terrified of death. I hope I live another 100 years. See that? That's ego says, I don't want to die. So even though I'm sleeping, I'm still breathing. I don't need to think about it because that's my self-defense mechanism. It's scared of death. Did any of your teachers and your advisors tell you that, hey, Mr. CEO, why are you so terrified of death? Why are you terrified of aging? Finally, It's more subtle level is manifestation. Ego is consciousness. Okay, it wants to know. This is deep drive. It says, I want to know. I know. If you do it right, it's good for society. For the most part, there's the other part where you become vain and arrogant. You think you know more, you know better than others. That's the ego for you. That's why these 5 aspects of your personality are tormenting you day and night. Tell me that you're not afraid of death. Your fear of death is 24 hours a day. Because that's why you keep on breathing and pumping. Have you thought about it? Because you're afraid to die. The ego manifests itself in very subtle ways or quite often and at a deeper level. That's why it's difficult for ordinary people to detect it. And so what can you do about it? You're doing something about it already by learning about it. You learn and you go back and you observe, oh, this is how I function. This is what's tormenting me. I have these things that really I'm deeply attached to. Don't try to tell people this is meant for you to reflect upon yourself. Okay, if you're unhappy, I submit to you, you're unhappy because of these 5 aspects of your functioning. Okay? That makes you unhappy. That's what Buddha discovered. That's what he's sharing with us. He said, I was unhappy even though I was a crown prince because I was tormented by these 5 things. It doesn't matter who I am, who you are constantly tormented by these 5 aspects of your personality or your ego. And you know what? The scientists and the therapists, the researchers, and so forth, have the faintest clues. They have no idea on why we're unhappy. They have no idea what this it or this ID or this ego really is. It's that Buddha says, that's it. You want to understand your ego, you need to study these 5 aspects of your functioning. This is how we live. This is how we function. This is how we behave as human beings. And that's what the Buddha calls those 5 things are the 5 components of your ego. You want to understand your ego? Study those 5 aspects. Please, Mr. Therapist, Mr. Researcher. Okay, if you want to go deeper, that's what you should be doing, focusing on these 5 aspects. What do you do about them? That's where wisdom comes in. Even if you know about these 5 aspects, your ego, you cannot solve it intellectually. Because why not? Because the intellect is one of the 5 components. You cannot use the intellect to fix it because the intellect is the one who created that in the first place, who nurtured it in the first place. Therefore, it's to your thinking mind interest to safeguard it and to defend it. That's why I use the word to kill the ego. There are certain practices in Buddhism, and we have a track record of success of many people who undertake those practices to be able to kill the ego, suppress the ego, and then they found peace and bliss. And you don't necessarily have to kill the ego before you experience peace and bliss. As you meditate, you recite mantras, whether it's at the Tibetan temple, at a Japanese Soto school, temple, and so forth, and you begin to experience low levels of peace and bliss already. And eventually you get the higher levels through these secret transmissions, these secret practices. You can learn from a Thai temple, from Mahayana temples, then you will discover that the state of where you are able to kill the ego, and it feels darn nice, so much nicer than before. Okay?